Hey y'all, so I'm back again with another recap of 90 Day Fiance Happily Ever After. Y'all, this week was everything I wanted it to be and then some. So it is literally like 10 o'clock at night. I just couldn't wait. I was like, I'm gonna wait till the morning to recap, and then I started writing down my notes and like thinking through what I was gonna say, and I was like, no, I'm about to do this right now because the people deserve this recap, and I'm gonna give it to y'all in a timely fashion because I know y'all waiting to hear what I want to say. And so I'm not gonna let y'all wait till the end of the week. I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna go ahead and get it out the way. So I'm sorry, y'all. I don't have a stitch of nothing on my face. I ain't even filled my eyebrows in. Hair's fuzzy. Need to take my braids down. I'm tired. It's been a long day. But I need to do this now. Y'all just bear with me. I know once somebody commented on my last recap and said I would look great with some lipstick on. Whoever you are, that was like one of those sweet auntie suggestions, like, oh, you look so pretty if you finish your eyebrows and put some lipstick on. I was like, listen, I'm not trying to put a lipstick on. Listen, I promise y'all, I'm gonna do a full beat for the season finale. How about that? I'll do a full face beat for the season finale, but right now I'm just gonna have to look like a ragamuffin. I'm sorry. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get right into the recap. So I'm pretty much gonna do the couples in order of drama. So I'm gonna start out with like the least dramatic and then build my way up to the grand finale. Alright, so of course we gotta go ahead and get Paola and Russ out the way because they're Paola and Russ. So this week's Paola's grandma passed away. It was sad. Paola talks more about how much she misses her family. She hates that they broke and they can't afford to go to Colombia all the time. She cried some more about having kids or something like that. I don't know. But that was it for them. So let's move on to the next couple. Alright, so next is Molly and Luis. Well, I guess I should just say Molly because Luis is still gone. Apparently Luis went up to New Jersey where he has family that's already here in the United States. I don't know if y'all saw this, but the editing for Molly's segment was a little bit weird. So they first filmed Molly coming out of the house in one outfit. She had on like a vest or something. And then she just gets in her car and kind of rides around and talks about Luis in her confessionals. And then she pops up at the restaurant with Jess wearing a completely different outfit. I didn't know if they were trying to edit it as if that was her on her way to the restaurant, or were they just filming her about her day. I don't know, but the producers, somebody messed up in the editing room with that, but it was weird. But anyway, she meets up with Jess to discuss what's going on with Luis. Jess said that he's sad that Luis is gone. He looked at Luis like a brother and that he's kind of disappointed that the whole thing fell apart. Molly said that Luis basically fooled her or lied to her and he wasn't the man that she thought he was. Child, Molly had love goggles on. Luis was a bartender at a resort in the Dominican Republic. The fact that he didn't want to be a father to her kids is something she should have seen a long time ago. So honestly, I really don't feel bad for Molly. I mean, she revealed to Jess the whole having to be responsible for Luis for 10 years and Jess was just so shocked. And like, no, this is terrible. But my thing is, you knew what you were getting into when you signed that document. It's not like somebody forced you to sign it, or I doubt if they didn't explain to you what it was before you signed it. You willingly signed it. You were in your right mind because you wanted this man who you thought you were going to bring into your life. And all better judgment said that you shouldn't have. So, you know, my patience for Molly is really starting to wear thin. My sympathy for her is slowly starting to run out. I got about a 1/4 ounce left of sympathy for Molly and before it finally is dried up to nothing, because Luis was just garbage from jump and she just didn't want to see it. So she left once and she was rid of him and then she begged him to come back home. So you know what? No, that 1/4 ounce is gone. I just remembered that she asked him to come back. So no, I don't feel sorry for Molly. She getting exactly what she deserved. I mean, it's a sad situation. I hate that she's having to go through this, but you know, she really brought it on herself, and I just pray to God that her kids don't hold it against her for the rest of their lives. I hope that she can just put her family back together and just move on with her life, because this whole relationship was a mistake. It was trash. Bye. But that's it for them. So let's move on to the next couple. Okay, so next is George and Anfisa. So last week we left off with Anfisa finding out that George has a potential child who's about 10 years old. And the baby's mother was sending her messages online and she just contacted her again. And so now Anfisa's really curious to know whether or not this child is George's. And not only is it George's child, but does he know about it? Her and George go out for lunch to discuss this. And George claims that it was a girl that he was dating in high school and they broke up. And then about a year later, or 11 months later, the girl said that she was pregnant or gave birth. I'm not really sure which, and George says that the dates don't line up. Anfisa questions this because she doesn't really believe George. George is a liar, so it's hard to know if he's telling the truth or not, which I'm with her on that. We don't know what's the truth with George. And she also says that George's memory is not too good, and she thinks it's funny that he remembers exact dates from 10 years ago, which I actually second that. We know that George's brain is not the brightest, and I don't really think that he would remember exactly the accounts or what was going on when he slept with this girl and if this child is not his. He says it's not his, but honestly, we don't really know what to believe, because George will lie in a minute. George has lied so many times, we don't know what's right from left. He could be lying in this moment to keep Anfisa from getting mad at him and leaving him, because she has threatened to leave if the child is his, or if he knew he had a child that he refused to take care of and abandon. I kind of see Anfisa's point. If I were in her situation, I would kind of be leery just because he has such a reputation of lying. Now, what I will say is that I think it's funny that now that George has been on this reality show, that this woman wants to pop up talking about a child. I'm just curious as to where she's been all these 10 years. You mean to tell me in 10 years you couldn't get a court-appointed DNA test? I mean, Judge Mathis does DNA tests. Mari does DNA tests. I mean, she could have literally gone on whatever show she wanted to get a DNA test done for free. And they would have flew her out there and given the DNA test. I don't understand why there's still a question. Now, once again, George could be lying and they already got the DNA test done, but I think in the previews for next week, she was saying on the phone that she's asked him several times to get a DNA test and he has refused. So it might be that George is in denial, that George doesn't want to believe that this is his child, and he has refused the DNA test, and this woman has been asking him for one over and over and over again. To be honest, I have no idea. I want to see a picture of the baby and see if she looked like him. That's all I'm curious to know. I can probably tell you if it's his baby or not just by looking at her. He has a very, distinct facial structure, and I'm sure that if somebody had his child, that baby gonna come out looking just like him. So I'm just curious to know what's gonna happen with this. Anfisa is concerned for her coins, honey, because George only got 3 of them, and she know baby girl about to take 2, and she's not having it because they already borderline broke, and now child support is gonna take the rest of that. Like I said, this just confirms my suspicions, is that Anfisa doesn't really care about George. She really only cares about the money that he could potentially bring in, and this baby is threatening that, and she is not having it. So I think Anfisa just needs to move on. George is not the sugar daddy for her. She needs to go find a new one. This relationship is not going to work because George is not going to tell the truth. He going to keep skirting around and lying, and he doesn't have as much money as she thought he did, and this is just not what she thought it was going to be. I think she needs to just cut her losses and move on. Baby or no baby. I don't think that these two are right for each other. This relationship is garbage, as I've said before, and I don't think that they need to be near each other ever. But that's it for them. So let's move on to the next couple. All right, so next is David and Annie. Child, whew. I'm gonna try to keep calm during this segment of the recap because David really pissed me off this week, y'all. And I'm gonna try to stay calm. Let me sip some water, cause ooh. All right, I'm ready. I'm zen. So this episode with David and Annie starts out with Annie cooking dinner. I don't know what she was whipping up in that wok, but she was walking it like she talked it, honey. She had some good old beef and broccoli with noodles in there, and she was stirring it up. I said, okay, Annie, that dinner looked like it might be slamming a little bit. I was like, I kind of want a plate. Chris calls David to inform him that he has sold the firehouse and that David and Annie have got to get out of there ASAP. I mean, like ASAP, like ASAP Rocky. Like they got to get out in 3 days. It's sold, like whoever he sold it to is taking over. They got to go. I saw some people who were talking about, oh, shouldn't you get 30 days notice, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you should get 30 days notice when you have an actual lease agreement and you're actually paying rent. David hasn't paid Chris any rent. I don't know. David has been begging for money this whole season. David did not come up with that $1,000 not one time to pay Chris rent. That is why Chris called him and said, y'all got to be out in 3 days. And David couldn't even say anything because they've been living there for free. So no, you don't get 30 days when you've been squatting in somebody's home and they decide to sell it. You got to go. So now they got to pack up their bags and figure out where the heck they're going to live. But luckily, Chris is still a good friend to David. So he didn't just throw him out in the complete cold. He has a backup option for David and Annie, which is staying in this storage warehouse apartment. And he even offered David a job working in the storage warehouse, taking inventory and working the front desk or whatever. And of course, as soon as David heard, I got a job for you, he tuned out. He wasn't hearing it. David has to tell Annie that they got to get out. Annie is not having it. She is seeing these American dreams that she had while she was in Thailand just start to drift further and further away. And she really is starting to entertain the thoughts of leaving David. I think this is immediately where she really literally had the thought that she might have to just dip out on him. David and Annie pack up in the little pickup truck and they go to visit the storage warehouse to see where exactly they'll be living, what job David will be doing. And so they get there and there's a nice little young man at the counter ready for them to tell them everything about the apartment. And as he talks more and more about this place of residence, Annie is just sinking further and further into despair. He says that, you know, the windows don't open, that there's no real kitchen, that the water heater is only a gallon of water and you got to take a 30-second shower. And Annie was like, that's it? I don't think I can live here. Like, I don't think I can do it. I can't do a 30-second shower. Like, how is this any different from the hut I was living in Thailand? Like, I may as well go bathe in the river like I was doing at home. So Annie is literally entertaining the thoughts of leaving and going back to Thailand, because living in that storage apartment is equivalent to the hut that she was living in with her family in Thailand. And she's starting to see that, and she's like, why am I here? If I'm gonna be living the same as I was back home, at least I have my family with me. So then the boy explains to David what exactly his job will be. And basically he's just gonna be taking care of day-to-day duties, making sure the inventory's straight, stocking the shelves, or doing whatever. And David is just shocked and appalled that anybody would ask him to do this kind of remedial work. I mean, he is educated man in his 60s who has multiple degrees and a master's degree, and they're asking him to do $10 an hour work. Who has heard of such? I cannot. I'm sitting there watching this and I'm like, you know what? The older generation tries to talk about millennials so bad, like we're just so awful and we're entitled and we're whiny babies. But you know what? That older generation ain't worth 2 cents, because the fact that he said that he has a master's degree, which denies him from being able to work $10 an hour jobs. Dude, do you know how many of us who just graduated from college like in the last 10 years and came out in the middle of a recession that your generation caused and couldn't find a job and got student loans and everything else? And guess what we had to do? We had to take jobs that probably pay $10, $12, $15 an hour, working retail, working in Walmart, working at places that you would never set foot in because you're too good because you got a master's degree. I know people who got advanced degrees and work in retail. Because we do what we gotta do. Okay, you can say what you want about millennials, but we roll up our sleeves and we get done what we need to get done to take care of our kids, our husbands, our wives, and our families, because that's what adults do, David. I couldn't believe that he tried to act like this job was beneath him, and he has no job. He has no money. He was just begging his sister, who hasn't seen him in 10 years and came down to visit him, to borrow some money to live. But somebody offers you a job and it's beneath you. If you don't get out of here with that, this man is a pitiful excuse for a human being. And that little segment where he was saying that, talking about a master's degree, baby, all of us got master's degrees. What? And working where? Because your generation messed up the economy and didn't want to retire. So now we sitting here looking stupid with master's degrees. Just like you sitting here looking stupid because you went off to China and Thailand and everywhere else in Asia and then came back and thought you was just going to hop into a job. Oh no, sir. You got to pay your dues just like the rest of us. So then they go on upstairs and they look at the apartment, and it kind of was a hot mess. I was kind of on Annie's side. I mean, I know they begging and can't be choosing, but ooh, it was very rough. It looked a little gloom and doom. I mean, she could go up there and put her woman's touch on it, but ooh, it looked a little horror movie-ish. But she was just really hurt when she saw that kitchen. I mean, that kitchen didn't have a stove, and Annie was like, oh no, we can't cook. I'm not about to eat microwave ramen noodles every day. Like, who about to do that? My initial thought was, why don't y'all just get a hot plate and a couple pots and then boom, there you go. But you know, hey, who are they to make something work? Of course not. David and Annie are not in the making it work or making do business. They are in the handout, please luxuriate my life for me on your dime business. So Annie's like, no, I can't do this storage warehouse apartment. No, I can't. And so they're riding back and they've packed up their stuff, and Annie just starts to admit what all of us have been thinking this whole time, that she's basically about to dip out and go back to Thailand with or without David. The life in America is not what she thought it was going to be, and she is giving up hope. I mean, God, she really just wanted to live the American dream. And then it's like David's growing by the episode. He's getting bigger. He's gross and disgusting. And she's like, not only do I have to live in a storage apartment that has no kitchen and I have to take a 30-second shower, but I have to look at this man's body every night, like, and he wants me to have sex with him. It's too much. A woman can only take so much, and I hear you, Annie, because it's overwhelming. You mean to tell me on top of that I gotta have sex with David too? I can't do it. I can't do it all. No, I can't. Annie is about to hop on the first thing smoking back to Thailand. I think she might call Chris and ask is that offer still on the table, which I told her probably a season ago that that's what she needs to do. She needs to take whatever money Chris is offering now. The number might have dropped. Just take it, girl, and go on back home. David is a lost cause. This man is, there's no hope for this man. There's no hope. After him saying that he didn't want to work a job because he has a master's degree that's $10 an hour, and he has absolutely no job and no prospects of a job and has $0 in his account other than money that people are giving him to borrow, there's no hope for him. Girl, cut your losses and just please run. Run, Annie. But that's enough of David and Annie. So let's move on to the next couple. All right, so next is Nicole and Azen. Last week we saw that Robert Lee came to visit Morocco a few weeks early because she really wants to get to know Azen and his family. And this episode, she got to. In the car ride over to Azen's family's house, I don't know how far the trip was from their hotel to the mom's house, but it was a car ride because Azen and Nicole were sitting on one side of the back of the van taxi in May, and Robert Lee were sitting on the other side. And Nicole was rubbing on the back of Azen's head and touching his leg, and they were taking kissy face selfies, and Azen looked traumatized. And every time Nicole shows affection to Azen, it just looks like Azen is just doing everything in his power to not snatch her hand away, bat her away, slap her hand. He just looks so uncomfortable, like he's smiling, but I can see in his eyes, he's like, oh my God, stop touching me. Like, he doesn't want the affection from her. It's so sad. And Robert Lee looked like she was shook and she was about to throw up in that cab, but she just didn't because little May was there, and I guess she didn't want May to be scared. But it's affection with Nicole and Azen is always one-sided. It's always Nicole rubbing on Azen or doing something to Azen. It's never a two-sided affection. I've never seen Azen do anything affectionate toward Nicole. If you've seen him do something affectionate toward her, let me know, because I'm waiting to see it. So Robert Lee comes to Azen's mother's and sister's house to meet them, and there was this warm welcome. Azen's mama laid out the spread, honey. She had tea, she had snacks, and Robert Lee made sure that she complimented her on her luscious foods that she had there for her, because Robert Lee didn't know what else to say, honey. She was just disheveled and discombobulated. She didn't know what to say to Azen's mom. There is definitely a language barrier here. They are lost in translation. They are lost in culture. I mean, Robert Lee doesn't really know how to address this woman, and this woman doesn't know how to address Robert Lee. I mean, it was awkward silence for at least 2 or 3 minutes before they finally start to converse. Azen is acting as the translator here, which I didn't really like, because I felt like they needed a neutral translator. Like, they needed someone who was like a cousin or just like a family friend or something to translate what the mothers were saying, because I felt like Azen was going to twist the words to fit whatever he wanted them to say. He was already nervous that Robert Lee was going to bring up the other girlfriends in the voice recordings when he met his mom, and he doesn't want his mom to know that he's not the good guy that she thinks he is. That's her baby boy, and he wants to keep that little sweet baby boy image to his mom. His mom doesn't know that he's a scammer, that he has all these other girlfriends in other countries, and probably, I don't think she knows. I think she thinks that her boy is a good boy, and that's her son, and he don't do no wrong. He was really nervous that Robert Lee was going to bring up those voice recordings, but she didn't. But I really think that if she had, he would have translated it out. I don't think he would have really told her what was said. And I don't think he translated very well, even with what she did say, which wasn't much. They were basically saying that the wedding's coming up and that the mama has to do all the planning for Nicole, who sat there like an idiot grinning the whole time. And that she doesn't know anything about Moroccan weddings, and Azen doesn't either. So the mom and the sister are pretty much taking over everything. Robert Lee said she was worried about May and Nicole's safety there in Morocco, but Azen loosely translated that the mom said that this is her home and she's going to be safe here, and everything was good. So I think that kind of put Robert Lee, you know, at ease slightly after meeting Azen's mom and seeing that they actually are decent people. Azen and Nicole go down to the registrar's office, or the, I don't know where it was, City Hall, I guess, in Morocco, to talk about getting a marriage license, because they're getting married in 10 days. Family is about to come over this wedding. I'm sorry. Getting married in 10 days. She actually thinks they're getting married in 10 days. I'm sorry. She actually thinks they get married in 10 days. Oh gosh. I needed that. Oh, Nicole think they get married in 10 days. Boy, oh. But anyway, whew, child. So they go down there. Nicole has brought all her paperwork that she thinks she needs for them to get this marriage license. And so the little registrar woman starts going through and she starts checking her boxes and putting the papers to the side and everything's looking good. And oh, one little problem. There's a copy of Nicole's police record, not the original, which apparently they need in order to get a marriage license. Now, here's my thing. This girl is flying thousands of miles to move to Morocco. She packed up her entire life. She packed up her whole apartment, hotel, her whole closet to move to Morocco. She doesn't plan on returning. She plans on living there for the next foreseeable year. So wouldn't it make sense that at some point before she left, she would call Azen and say, hey, can you go down to the embassy or the registrar's office or wherever the place is that we need to get our marriage license, and ask them to, can they send me a checklist, or can you write down everything that I need in order to get our marriage license, because I'm moving everything over there and I'm not coming back to America. Don't you think that would have made more sense? You know before you go. In other words, we're not driving all over the city going back and forth to get different paperwork and documents. Oh no, baby. Gas is way too high to be doing all that. What we're going to do is we're going to pick up the phone and call down there and say, hello, I would like to get a marriage license. I'm an American, or my fiance is an American. We would like to know what paperwork she needs and what condition it needs to be in for us to be able to do that before you fly to Morocco from America. That would be something that you might need to know beforehand. Now, I have a feeling that neither one of these two idiots has the foresight to do something like that, or Azen knew that she needed a original copy and just didn't say anything because, of course, he doesn't want to marry her. Perfect sabotage. And also, isn't Nicole's family coming from America like in a few days? Can she not call mom or dad or cousin or brother or somebody and say, hey, can you go down to the police precinct and get me an original copy of my police record and bring it with you when you come, because I need it so we can get our marriage license. Nicole said something about it takes weeks for the documents to be verified. I don't really know of the truth of that. I might have to Google and look that up, but I don't know. If you know about this stuff, you let me know. But I feel like this is sabotage from Azen. I feel like Azen did not want to check to know what paperwork she had. He just trusted Nicole to bring it, and he probably figured that something was going to go wrong. Azen tried to act shocked and fake mad, honey, when he found out she didn't bring all the paperwork. Oh no! How could you forget? How did you not know? This is terrible. I'm so sad. Now we can't get married. Boy, please. We all know Azen was jumping for joy on the inside when he found out Nicole didn't have that original document, and now the wedding has to be pushed back. Now that's only one little piece of his plan. Now he's got to figure out another delay. He just got to keep pushing the wedding back until her 6-month visa is up and she got to go on back to Florida. That's what Azen's hoping for right now. So Nicole is all sad and distraught, honey, that the wedding is not going to happen in 10 days like she thought. And I'm just sitting here like, the wedding's not going to happen, period, like you thought, baby, because this man don't want to marry you. She's never going to believe that Azen doesn't really love her. She really thinks that he does. And she just thinks she made an honest mistake, which was something that could have easily been avoided by just telling him to go down there before she came to Morocco to figure out what paperwork they needed. This could have been avoided, is what I'm saying. And it seems like the perfect sabotage for them to push the wedding back. That's it for these two lovebirds. Let's move on to the last couple. Okay, so we had to wait all night long. And when I say all night, I mean all entire night for this fight. It was not a very long amount of like actual tape, but it was everything that, I mean, y'all, you know how when you like see previews of a movie and they just wear it out, and you've seen so many previews, and when you finally go see the movie, it's like, I feel like I saw it because they put all the good scenes in the previews, and I've seen the trailer 62 times on TV. And the movie was just underwhelming because I've seen all the good pieces because they put them all in the trailer. That's how I thought this fight was going to be. I literally thought that it was just going to be underwhelming because we had built it up all season. I was like, I've already seen it. Like, it's probably not going to be that good. I mean, I was looking forward to it, but at the same time, I was like, I'm probably going to be underwhelmed because I've seen it like 57 times already. Y'all, I was not disappointed. First of all, I do think that this whole dinner was staged. I do think that maybe a little altercation might have been brewing in the works with TLC producers, but I don't think that what actually transpired was planned. So let me just make this clear. I do think that the whole meeting together, the dinner, the whole tensions arising and coming to a head thing was definitely planned by producers. There's no doubt in my mind. The fact that they were eating on paper plates with plastic forks, I was like, Chantel's family be acting kind of bougie, so I don't really see them eating on paper plates. But then I was like, well, maybe because Pedro and Nicole was coming, they was trying to be a little disrespectful, like, you're not gonna eat off my dishes, so I'm gonna give you paper plates. I'm not really sure, but I do think that this whole, you know, I think it was a little concocted. But I will say that everything that happened, I don't think that that was how they thought it was going to go down. They probably thought it might have been like some yelling, some raised voices, maybe a thrown chicken wing or something, but not the fight that ensued. So let me just break this whole fight down for you. Starts off where they're at, I think, family Chantel's house, and the food is all set, the table's ready, and you know, everybody's hungry, especially Winter, girl ready to eat. And so River's asking what time they come in. You know, it's already 6:45, they're supposed to be here at 6:30, we need to go ahead and eat, you know, whatever. And so finally Nicole and Pedro arrive. I thought it was a little weird that Chantel did not come with her husband, Pedro, so it's already like a split couple. Clearly Chantel is siding with her family, and clearly Pedro siding with his sister, because these two didn't even arrive together. Chantel was already there with her family. It's like they weren't even a couple. It was very weird and very cold to me. Nicole walks in first looking just face beat. I was like, yes, Nicole, I don't like you, but yes, work it. Red lipstick on. So she gives Chantel a little kiss. And then Pedro comes in, and Pedro was literally about to walk right past Chantel, and she like stopped him, and they kissed. But I don't think Pedro was planning on kissing her. He's about to just breeze right into the house. But then Nicole comes in the house, and she's going around the room. Mother Chantal is being fake nice and telling Nicole she looks pretty. Nicole went in to kiss Mother Chantal, you know, kiss, because I think that's what they do in their culture. You kiss when you come in. And Mother Chantal hit the Heisman on that hoe. She was like, oh no, we don't do that, don't kiss me. And it was real awkward. The tension, I mean, you could cut through the tension with a knife. It was just brewing. The electricity was in the air. And so everybody goes over to the table. They sit down. Pedro's sitting on one end, Chantel's in the middle, and then Nicole is on the end. That's one side of the table. And then there's Father Chantal, Mother Chantal, River, and Winter is at the head at the other end. So they're sitting down eating. Nicole's eating some of the chicken, and Mother Chantal asks her, you know, how she likes the chicken. She says, oh, it's bueno. And, you know, that was throwing shade because of the chicken feet they served. And so she's like, oh, you like my food, but you served us chicken feet. I can see the shade, Mother Chantal. I see you, girl. They're eating, and, you know, Mother Chantal starts asking about Nicole and how her stay has been at the apartment. And that's when it all sort of sets off. Nicole says that it's been great. The apartment's fantastic. She's having a good time in Atlanta. And then Mother Chantal is like, oh, well, Chantel tells me that one time when she was at the house and she left, you was clapping your hands talking about thank God that she was gone. And that's when the fight kind of starts, because Nicole just firmly denies that, you know, any of this happened at the apartmento or apartmente or whatever the Spanish word for apartment that Mother Chantel decided to make up that day. Chantel and Nicole are going back and forth. Pedro's jumping in mad because he's like, why are you telling your family everything that's going on with us? And let me just address this with Chantel. Chantel stirs the pot. Okay, Chantel goes to her family and tells every little bad thing that Pedro does, and then her family wants to fight on her behalf. And then she goes home and tells Pedro every little bad thing that her family does and makes him hate her family. And so I feel like she has sort of brewed this perfect storm. This is all really because of her. You know, you can't tell your family everything that you and your man fight about. I know you want to tell them some things, but some stuff you got to keep to yourself, because your family never forgets and they never forgive. I mean, you might forgive because you getting that D on the regular. Okay, so if my sister or my brother is with a woman or a man and they tell me that they do something wrong, I'm like, oh no, she did you wrong. Like, we don't like him or her. But you like, oh, well, we had makeup sex, so I forgave him or I forgave her. We cool now. And it's like, I'm not cool. I didn't get that. I don't have that kind of bond with them that makes it so easy to forgive. So some things you gotta hold your cards to the breast, Chantel. You can't tell your family every little fight that happens between you and your husband. I know some things are a little shady, but she likes to go to her family, tell them everything, and then when her family runs wild with these crazy theories, then she want to back up and be like, oh no, I didn't mean for them to do a whole investigation. Well, why are you telling them all y'all business? And don't go telling Pedro that they want to do an investigation on him. Like, just stop stirring the pot, Chantel. Nicole and Chantel are still going back and forth. You lied, I didn't lie, whatever. So Pedro suggests that Chantel and Nicole switch seats. And Mother Chantel is not having it. She like, oh no, baby. We staying right where we at because this thing done popped off and I'm ready to go. Then Pedro, all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. He gets loud and starts pointing his fork at Family Chantel like, hey, 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 hey. And Mother Chantel was like, don't you be pointing your utensils at us. And then River jumps in and tells him to calm down and calls him the N-word. And that set Pedro off. Now, I thought Hispanic people said the N-word. I mean, Cardi B be saying the N-word, so I thought that was cool for them. But Pedro took serious offense to being called an N-word by River. And that pretty much set it off. So Pedro stands up. And then River stands up. And then they're going back and forth like, hey, you want to go? You want to do something? You want to jump? And I'm like, who about to jump first? Who gonna jump first? I don't know what's gonna happen. Who gonna throw the first punch? I'm on the edge of my seat. River, for some reason, slaps the light fixture. I was like, why are we slapping the light fixture? What does that mean? Does that mean something? He didn't hit Pedro, and I guess Pedro took that as you took the first swing. I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was the secret code that the producers told him to do to start the fight. I don't know. But then Pedro comes around the table and the fight ensues. And so Pedro snatches up River and then everybody jumps in the fight. And when I say everybody, the whole family was fighting as a unit. We taking teams. So I think River might have punched Nicole and Mother Chantal was on the ground and Chantel's trying to push River and Pedro apart. Y'all, it was a madhouse. And I was sitting there with my mouth wide open. I could not believe what I was watching because I felt like I had seen it. I was like, I haven't seen this fight scene. It ain't gonna be about nothing. I'm just gonna, you know, make my notes or whatever. Whose side am I taking? I was so entertained. This fight was, I've never seen 8 people fight before. It was literally like a crip jumping. Like they jumped Pedro into the family. So then next thing I know, Mother Chantel is on the floor and River's on top of her and he's still trying to get punches in. He done jumped up over the table. And Father Chantel, I don't know where he was. I don't know what he was doing. He might have been trying to stop the fight. Nicole was in the middle. Winter was in the middle. Chantel trying to break them up. And so finally the producers jump in and are pushing people apart. So finally it starts to kind of die down. River is amped up. I mean, River was, y'all, if they told him to fight Pedro, he is a great actor because that was so convincing. I think River was legit pissed and ready to like really fight Pedro for real. He couldn't calm down. They couldn't get him to calm down. Y'all, if this was totally scripted, it would have been like quick and like a couple pushes. This was a true to form fight where everybody got a hit in. Like everybody either got hit or got a hit in. Mother Chantel had somebody's weave in her hand, and I know a lot of people were saying she snatched Nicole's track out, but if you really pay attention, look at the color of the weave that was in her hand. Now make sure you watch the fight and pause it and zoom in on the color of the track. Now Nicole's hair is a little bit darker brown, almost like a chestnut color. But Winter has that sort of honey blondish light brown tone. And the color of that track was a honey blonde light brown tone. I think Mother Chantel accidentally snatched her own daughter Winter's track out. Because I was looking at Winter's back of her head at the end of the fight. And her hair did look shorter. Because y'all know Winter got some hair. And I think she had one track in right here. And I think Mother Chantel snatched it out. I don't think she realized. Because Nicole's hair was still together after. She snuck out immediately after the fight was over. But I really think she snatched her daughter weave out and she didn't realize. The fight is kind of dying down and the producers have kind of put everybody in their corner. And all of a sudden, Pedro just kicks the table and knocked all the food down. And that's when Chantel just loses it, honey. She just can't take no more. She wanted to eat them wings and he done kicked them off the table. Jesus, I can't take it no more. Just breaks down crying. And it was a mess. Father Chantal was still talking in his little soft robotic whisper voice asking Pedro, why did you do that? Y'all, it was madness. And it was probably one of the most amazing fight scenes that I've seen on TV in a long time. Y'all, I've watched many fights. I have seen many episodes of Love and Hip Hop, all franchises. And this fight trumps all of those because it just felt so real and raw. Like there was real emotion behind this fight. Now, like I said, I think the circumstances leading up to it were orchestrated by producers. Definitely. But I think the producers probably thought they were going to do a little arguing, maybe raise some voices, maybe throw, you know, some potato salad across the table or something. I don't think that anybody expected it to get to this level of ratchetness that it did. They're walking out and that's where the episode ends and they just leave it hanging right there. And I was like, I needed a cigarette, like, and I don't even smoke. It was just so raw and good. I don't know whose side I'm on, honestly, because I feel like I said, Chantel has kind of orchestrated this whole thing. She has pitted her family and Pedro's family against each other by going to each side and telling what the other are doing. So, you know, I don't like River at all. I think he needs to mind his business. But at the same time, Chantel has kind of amped her family up because she keeps telling them every little thing that happens with Pedro. So he's just trying to defend his sister, who I think he's secretly in love with. But, I mean, he's just trying to defend his sister. And then Pedro, you know, he has literally abandoned his wife for his sister and his family. And he just won't come to Chantel's side. But he's angry at Chantel because she keeps running to her family for everything instead of trying to reason with him. Pedro's been an a-hole. River's been an a-hole. Honestly, y'all, I can't pick a side. I'm on nobody's side here. They're both wrong for different reasons. And I can't side with either one of them. But I know that fight was epic. That was it for the episode. So now I'm just going to briefly talk about the 1 hour 90-day live special that happened immediately after this 1 hour episode. This week, instead of a 2 hour episode, we had a 1 hour episode and then a 1 hour 90-day live immediately following. So they had some YouTube people on there. They had some special guests come in. Okay, so I'm probably shooting myself in the foot by saying this because they're probably never going to ask me to be on it now if they ever do it again. But, not that they would ask me to be on it. But I felt like they were trying to do too much in a short amount of time. They had some of the YouTubers on there. Aaron was on there. Jody Huff from Reality TV Pod was on there. Just Call Me Wahama was on there. Grace from the Grace Report was on there. So a lot of people that, if you really follow 90 Day Fiance and people who recap, you would recognize all these people. If you didn't watch it, you would recognize everybody they had on there. So I was really pleased with the YouTube talent that they picked and the podcasters and the bloggers that they picked. But I just felt like they had so many guests. They had like the cameramen who filmed the fight. They had Lauren and Alexi on there. It was too much. They were trying to cram like 87 guests into an hour live little show. And they really didn't let people talk. I felt like the segments were super short. The host, Michelle Collins, had to constantly cut people off who were mid-thought, like bringing the facts, like had something good to say, and I really wanted to hear what they had to say. And she had to keep cutting them off because they just didn't have time because they had to move on and get to the next people. So I didn't really like that. I felt like the production could have been done a little better. I feel like if they were to try it again, that maybe they should not have so many things trying to pack into an hour. Maybe have just 2 YouTubers and then like a couple old 90 Day Fiance people back on that people really want to see. Now they did have my girl Danielle on there and I was really happy about that because I was like, that's somebody that people want to see. Lauren, no, I don't know why they had her on there. She's equivalent to Pal. Their relationship really was kind of boring and we're over them. We don't need an update on them. So they could have done without her, but putting Danielle on there was the gold. I mean, that was perfect. And Danielle had a nice little segment. So Danielle basically is not over Muhammad, just like we all know she isn't. She still keeps her last name. And one of the Twitter, they were reading tweets from Twitter and someone asked, why does she keep her last name? And she said, oh, it's so hard to change it because you had to change it on your driver's license and go down to the courthouse and get... Baby, if a man came over here and scammed me out of a green card, I'm not going to care his last name. I don't care how much work I need to do. Danielle, it's been like 2 years. You've had plenty of time to get your name changed. Baby, ain't nobody hearing that, Danielle. Ain't nobody hearing that, baby. We know you still want Muhammad. We know you still love Muhammad. Baby, she still had her wedding ring on. I was like... Danielle has not let go of that man, and she's going to be on 90 Day Fiance What Now that's coming out later this year, and she's still chasing Muhammad all across the country talking about he owe her some money. What money, girl? If this had happened to me, cut my losses. He scammed me. I lost my money. Just take the L, Danielle, and move on with your life. Why are you still chasing this man down for some money? Talking about she wants some money. Danielle, we all know why you really chasing Muhammad, because you still love that man and you're hoping that if you keep chasing him, then he'll wake up one day and realize that you are the one for him and that y'all can be together. Danielle, you're not fooling nobody. And she says she got a man and he don't live here. You know, he lives somewhere far away from her in the United States, but Pixel, it ain't true. I want to see the man. Let me see what he look like. Because I don't trust it. I think he might be an online boyfriend. They probably ain't never met in person. Danielle still love Muhammad, and I can't wait to see her on 90 Day Fiance What Now, because she chasing him around like Carmen Sandiego. Like I said, the 90 Day Live, it was cute. You know, she cute girl. But I feel like they could have done a little better job of it. I was very pleased with the bloggers that they picked. I thought everybody that they picked is somebody that I watch or listen to their podcast. So I was like, okay. fangirling. But yeah, I think that they could have managed the time better and thrown out a lot of the people that they brought on there. Like the cameraman, who cares? Lauren, who cares? Have a couple YouTube bloggers, one big guest that people want to see, and let people talk. They had Antonio on there. Antonio was trying to spill the tea. She had to cut Antonio off. It was just a mess. It seemed very scatterbrained and a little bit unorganized, and that might just be because it was live. And I understand live TV is a totally different animal, so I give them kudos for trying to do a good thing. I hope they do it again. I hope they just do it a little bit better with time management. That was it for this episode, y'all. So we gonna see what happens next with Chantel and family Chantel and Pedro. This episode was so amazing, but y'all, we made it through another recap again. Thank you guys so much for sticking it out with me and just listening to me ramble on and on about this episode, because I was just so excited. I'm tired. It's bedtime. I'm ready to cut this light out and climb right into this bed right now. So if you want to follow me on Twitter at NICHI_P_tweets for all my live tweets during the show as it happens in real time. Thank you so much to all my subscribers. You guys are the absolute best, and I love each and every one of you for watching me every single week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time. Bye. What y'all think David got a master's in? That's what I want to know. What y'all think? I mean, what's the possible things that David can have a master's in? Lying. Oh, bum and money. David got a master's degree in bum and money. What else? Eating. David got a master's degree in eating, definitely. He probably got a master's degree in, like, the anatomy of pizza and burgers. He probably know every kind of pizza and burger and ramen noodle. And Thai food. He probably eat a lot of Thai food. What else David got a master's degree in? Being broke. David got a master's degree in being broke. Oh gosh, crack myself up. He don't want to work $10 an hour job because he got a master's degree in being broke.